Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and hello and welcome you all to a Little Slaw YouTube channel. Today, I want to talk about something that will directly impact your career in 2026. Yes, you heard it right, or in next 12 months. So we are discussing the cloud native and distributed system testing, but more importantly, the essential skills that every performance tester or engineer must master in 2026. And this is not just about learning new tools, it's about ensuring your career to stay relevant and competitive in a rapidly evolving landscape. So the future of performance engineering starts right now. And here I'm going to show you the exact roadmap to get there. So moving on to the next slide. Why 2026 is a critical year? So let me start by explaining why 2026 is such a critical year for all of us as performance testers. So the landscape of the application architecture has fundamentally changed. So to maintain the relevancy and to maintain the valuable in 2026, the performance testers must evolve around the traditional monolithic testing approaches. And this is not optional anymore, it is mandatory. So there are three statistics which I wanted to tell you. So 85% of organizations are now using microservices architecture. 92% have adapted cloud native technologies. And here is more important one. 78% of performance testing job postings now require container and Kubernetes knowledge. And these are not projections. These are the current realities that will only intensify in 2026. So let me be absolutely clear. These are not optional skills anymore. They are essential for career survival and growth. If you're still only doing traditional monolithic testing, you're already behind, but that's exactly why we are here today. So now let's understand the paradigm shift. So the first critical skill you must master is understanding the fundamental paradigm shift in application architecture. So on the left, we have what you already know, the traditional architecture, and what you must master. So what you already know is a single deployable unit, that is everything packaged together, and then the vertical scaling, which is adding more power to one server, and then the predictable failure patterns. When something breaks, you know exactly what broke, and then the linear performance correlation, that is double the users, double the load, simple. And this is the world most of us grew up in as performance tester. It's comfortable, it's predictable. But now what you must learn. So on the right, this is what you must master in 2026, starting from distributed microservices architecture. Your application is now 20, 30, maybe 50 different services. Horizontal auto-scaling strategies, containers spinning up and down automatically based on demand, and then the cascade failures and the circuit breaker patterns. Yes, when one service fails, how do you prevent the entire system from collapsing? And then the non-linear performance dynamics, where adding one user might trigger auto-scaling that actually improves performance temporarily. And now the next slide, which is where we're going to see the mastering the modern testing challenges. So now let's talk about the skill number 2, that is mastering the modern testing challenges that you will face daily. So talking about the first one, that is now, I mean, talking about the skill 2, we're going to master the modern testing technologies. So the first thing is like these are the daily realities that you will face in 2026, and you must know how to address each one, not some of them, each one, right? So the first challenge is the service interdependencies. A single request may traverse 20 or even more microservices across multiple availability zones. And think about that. One user clicks a button and that request bounces through 20 different services, maybe across different data centers, but you must know how to trace the transactions end to end. You can't just test one service in isolation anymore. That tells you nothing more about any real world performance. And then the dynamic infrastructure, the second challenge. So containers are spinning up and down automatically, and you are literally testing a moving target. The infrastructure you tested 5 minutes ago might be completely different now because Kubernetes scaled up your pods. You must know how to test auto scaling behaviors and validate that your application actually scales correctly under load. The third challenge, the distributed state. So distributed state is where the data consistency challenges across the databases, the caches, and message queues. So in monolithic apps, you had one database, right? Now you might have 5 databases, 3 caches, and 2 message queues all trying to stay in sync. You must understand how to validate eventual consistency models. Your traditional database testing skills are not enough anymore. And next, the fourth challenge, the polyglot complexity. Multiple languages, frameworks, and protocols in a single transaction path. One application might use Java for the backend, Node.js for the API layer, Python for data processing, and Go for the messaging service, all in the same request flow. And you must know how to correlate metrics across different technology stacks. And this is exponentially more complex than testing a single language applications. Yes, by this time you must have got an idea about that. And now the next part, which is the skill 3, that is multi-cloud platform expertise. And talking about the skills, uh, AWS. Yes, so let's start with AWS, the market leader with most mature ecosystem. You must understand EKS performance patterns, that is Elastic Kubernetes Service, and how does Kubernetes behave on AWS? What are the specific performance characteristics and Lambda cold starts? Those initial delays when the serverless functions start up, and uh, these are specific to AWS and directly impact your test results. Notice at the bottom, you must know EKS performance patterns and Lambda cold starts specifically, and then the Azure, the enterprise integration powerhouse, especially for hybrid cloud scenarios where you're connecting on-premises systems with cloud systems. So you need to understand AKS autoscaling, and that's Azure Kubernetes services, and how hybrid cloud connectivity affects latency in your tests. So when you're testing systems that span on-premises and Azure cloud, latency becomes a huge factor. And next comes the GCP, the Google Cloud Platform. So the innovation leader in containers and data analytics. So you must understand the GKE optimization, the Google Kubernetes engine, and Cloud Run concurrency models. So how many concurrent requests can the Cloud Run handle, and what are all the optimal configurations? And then my career tip to you. So have at least hands-on experience with at least one or two of these platforms, which is expected in 2026, not theoretical knowledge where you have just read the documentation, the actual hands-on experience where you have spun up clusters, run tests, troubleshoot issues, because the employers will ask you specific questions about these platforms in interviews. So if you can only talk about one platform, you are limiting your job opportunities significantly. So multi-cloud is the norm now, not an exception anymore. And now the 3 pillars you must master. There are no choice for you, because these are non-negotiable competencies for performance testers in 2026, and I call them 3 pillars because they support everything else you do. The pillar 1 is the scalability testing. Yes, horizontal pod auto scaling behavior. How does Kubernetes scale your pods horizontally? The database connection pooling under load. When you have 100 pods, each trying to connect to the database, how do you manage those connections? The service mesh performance overhead. The service meshes like Istio add a proxy to every service call. So what's the performance cost? And then the breaking points in auto scaling policies. At what point does your auto scaling actually break down? And then the resilience engineering that you see here. So talking about the certifications. Yeah, so here's what you need to learn. So Kubernetes scaling mechanism and HPA configuration, the horizontal pod autoscaler. So you need to understand this deeply, not superficially. And then the second pillar is the resilience engineering. Yes, the chaos engineering experiments, deliberately breaking things to see how the system responds. The circuit breaker activation thresholds. Yes, so they are very critical to you. So when does your circuit breaker open to prevent cascade failures? And retry storm prevention. So when everything retries at once, creating even more load. And then the graceful degradation patterns. When a service fails, how does the system degrade gracefully instead of completely crashing? So for this, you must learn chaos mesh and litmus. So these are the tools for chaos engineering. So learn failure injection, and this is a completely new discipline for most performance testers. And then the third pillar, which is the performance optimization. Yes, so end-to-end latency across services, not just one service, but the entire chain. And then the resource utilization patterns, the CPU, memory, network across all your microservices. And then the cold start penalties in serverless, that initial delay we talked about with Lambda. And then the network latency and inter-zone traffic. So when services talk across availability zones, what's the latency cost? And then talking about the certification, yes, you need to learn distributor tracing and APM tools, application performance monitoring. You can't just look at the response times anymore. You need the complete performance profiles across your entire architecture. And moving on to the next slide, the skill 5, the Docker and Kubernetes mastery. So by 2026, these are baseline skills, not nice to have, but let me repeat the baseline. So this is like knowing how to use a load testing tool. It's fundamental. You can't call yourself a modern performance tester without these skills. So firstly, the Docker skills that you must have. Containerization ensures test environment parity with production. So you must know how to build, optimize, and troubleshoot containers for performance testing. Specifically, Docker file optimization, multi-stage builds to keep images small, container resources limits, so your containers don't consume unlimited resources, and image size optimization, because large images slow down your deployment. And these are not advanced topics, these are baseline Docker skills. And now moving on to the Kubernetes skills. So the pod scheduling and resource limits impact performance. Where Kubernetes places your pods matters. So ingress controllers introduce latency variations. That entry point into your cluster adds latency, and then the service discovery adds overhead to inter-service calls. Every time one service need to find another, there is overhead, and the network policies can create bottlenecks. Those security rules can slow things down. The next one, what the employers expect in 2026. So testing at the cluster level, not just individual services. So be proficient with kubectl and Helm, understand resource quotas and network policies, be able to spin up complete test environment in Kubernetes, not just run test against existing environments, but actually create the environments yourself. And here is my recommendations: get certified CKA, that is a certified Kubernetes administrator, or CKAD, certified Kubernetes application developer. So these certifications shows employers you are serious about these skills. It's an investment that pays off immediately in your interview and your salary negotiations. Let's move on to the next slide. And here's my next slide, which is modern testing strategy and tools. The skill number 6, the modern testing strategy and tools. So this is the complete toolkit you need to master by 2026. The 4 critical strategies which is going to working together. The observability first, the strategy 1. So instrument everything, distributed tracing, metrics, and structured logging. So you can't test what you can't see. Tools you need to know: Prometheus for metrics, Grafana for visualization, Jagger for distributed testing, and ELK stack for logging. And the must learn items: distributed tracing concepts, understanding how a request flows through your system, the PromQL queries, and that's the Prometheus query language for pulling metrics and building Grafana dashboards so you can actually visualize what's happening. And then the second one, which is shift left performance. So the performance testing in CI/CD pipelines from day one, not just pre-production. This is a massive shift in mindset. Tools like K6 and Gatling in containerized environments, and must learn is CI/CD integration, getting your performance tests into the pipeline. The pipeline testing, where you're going to run your tests with every build, and automated threshold management. So tests fail the build if performance degrades, and manual testing only in the pre-production is almost obsolete. And then the next point, which is the chaos engineering. Yes, deliberately inject failures to validate resilience. This is proactive, not reactive. So tools like chaos mesh, litmus, and gremlin. So you must learn the failure injection techniques, how to safely break things, blast radius control, limiting the scope of your chaos experiments, and steady state hypothesis testing. And you have to define what normal looks like so you can detect when chaos cause problems. And next, the fourth strategy, production testing. Yes, you heard it right. So synthetic monitoring, shadow traffic, and canary deployments. So testing does not stop at production deployment, it continues. So tools like Datadog Synthetics for continuous production monitoring, and Istio for production delivery progressive delivery strategies. So you must learn service mesh concepts, understanding how Istio works, and progressive deployment strategies like canary deployments, where you gradually roll out changes. And this is your modern testing strategy, all four components working together, not in isolation anymore. And the next part is your 2026 testing career roadmap. Now, let me give you a practical roadmap, your step-by-step action plan throughout 2026. So here is your step-by-step action plan to master these skills by each quarter. So it's achievable. The first thing is, so the quarter one, 2026, that's January through March, focus on container and Kubernetes fundamentals. Get hands-on with Docker, complete a CKA or CKAD preparation course, build your foundational knowledge, and this is critical. Don't just watch videos, actually build containers, actually deploy to Kubernetes. Hands-on practices is non-negotiable. And just to let you know, I'm going to start the CKA, the containers and Kubernetes fundamentals, that is CKA and CKD preparation, is planned on January through March. So if you're interested, please do enroll with me. I'll take you through the CKA and CKAD trainings. And then the second quarter. So what are we going to plan in second quarter? So April through June. So we're going to focus on platform expertise. So we are going to deep dive into AWS, Azure, or GCP. So pick any one of this and complete your cloud practitioner certifications. These are the entry level certifications from each vendor. So get your hands dirty with each cloud, actual cloud resources. Yes, you'll have to spend some money. If you're interested, you can register with me for any of these cloud platform, and I will definitely walk you through them. But consider it as an investment in your career. The cost of a few cloud resources nothing compared to the salary increase you'll get with these skills. And then for the quarter three, what are we going to learn? The observability and chaos engineering. Yes, focus on observability and chaos engineering. Implement distributed tracing in test projects. Run chaos experiment in test environments. And this is where you move from theory to practice with resilience engineering. Start breaking things deliberately and learning how systems respond. Again, I'm giving you an option. Please do register with me in the third quarter for observability and chaos engineering. I'm very well happy to help you with that. And then the quarter four, the last quarter of the year. Oh, where is that again? And then, yeah, sorry, I think I went past several slides. Come on, come on. Yep, observability, chaos engineering, yes, production testing. And then the roadmap, Q1, Q2, Q3. Okay, but anyways, let me tell you for the quarter four. From October through December, focus on production grade skills, so service mesh testing, production monitoring, SRE practices like site reliability engineering. So this is where you become a senior level practitioner who can handle production systems confidently. And now the payoff, the testers who master all these skills will be the most valuable with highest paid in 2026. I'm not exaggerating. These skills command premium salaries. So this is not just about job security, it's about career advancement and significantly better compensation, because The Little Star subscriber never ever worried about job security. They always care about the career advancement and their better compensation, and that's what's going to happen if you are a Little Star YouTube channel and if someone who watches the videos regularly. And now the bottom line: adapt or fall behind. Yes, that's the only choice for you. So let me bring this to all together with the bottom line. The cloud native testing is not just about new tools. It's a fundamental shift in mindset and skill set. So you have to think differently, not just learn different buttons to click. But and here are your key takeaways for 2026. Number one, think distributed first, not monolithic first. So change your mental model of how applications work. Stop thinking about one big application and start thinking about ecosystems of services, and embrace chaos and failure as learning opportunities. So resilience engineering is now part of your job description. So breaking things deliberately is no longer irresponsible, it is professional. So please be very careful about that. And then master the containerization and orchestration. It is non-negotiable. This is baseline knowledge now, not advanced knowledge. And then build observability into every test strategy. You can't test effectively without visibility into what's happening inside your systems. And then get certified. Yes, show employers you are serious about these skills. Certifications matter for career advancement. They open doors and increase your negotiating power of salary. And here's my final message to you: the performance testers who embrace these skills in 2026 will lead the industry. Those who don't will struggle to stay relevant. This is not meant to be harsh, but that's the reality of our profession. Technology has changed and we must change with it. And my call to action for you: start your learning journey today, not tomorrow, not next month, not after this project finishes. Today, when you leave this session, pick one skill from this presentation and start learning this week. In case if you want to have any guidance, please reach out to me individually. I can very well help you. I'm happy to help you with any of these topics. And just that that's all it takes to begin. And now a quick knowledge check with you. Now before we finish, let's just try test your understanding with some quick questions. This will help reinforce what you have learned today. Don't worry, this is not a test. It's a traditional sense. It's a way to check if the key concepts have landed, and it's interactive. I want you to participate. Let's see how well you have been paying attention. So the first question is: what is the primary skill gap of performance testers moving from monolithic to microservices testing? Think about everything that we have discussed and what is the biggest challenge. I'm giving you the choice here. Please feel free to give your choice. What do you think? Please give that in the comment section. I'll give you the right answer in the next video. And then the next part, the second question: by 2026, which skills is considered baseline, not nice to have for performance testers? Machine learning, Docker and Kubernetes proficiency, mobile app testing, database administration. So please feel free to give your answers in the comment section for the second question as well. And moving on to the third question: what is the main reason performance testers must learn chaos engineering 2026? To create random bugs in production, to deliberately validate system resilience in distributed environments, to reduce infrastructure costs, to replace traditional load testing. And then moving on to the fourth question: which multi-cloud skill set is most valuable for performance testers in 2026? Deep expertise in one cloud platform only, hands-on experience with at least two major cloud platforms, theoretical knowledge without practical experience, focus only on on-premises testing. Please feel free to answer the question in the comment section. And the last question: what does shift left performance mean for your career in 2026? Moving to different time zones, integrating CI/CD, testing only on the left side, reducing the number of test cases. Please feel free to answer your question. So with that, I think I come to the end of this slide, the session. So your action plan starts now. We have covered a tremendous amount today. Don't wait. Start mastering these skills today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. So let me leave you with your concrete next steps, your action plan, working out this session. First, pick one skill from today and start learning this week. Just one. Don't try to do everything at once. That's overwhelming and you will do nothing. So pick one. Maybe it's Docker, maybe it's learning PromQL, maybe it's understanding Kubernetes basics. Just one skill and start this week. If you really need to learn any of these, and if you need some guidance, please let me know. I'm happy to help you. Second, set a goal. Set a goal to get certified in containers or cloud by the end of Q2 2026. Make it specific and time bound. That is, I'll get my CKA certification by June 30th, 2026, or I will get my AWS Cloud Practitioner certification by April 15th, 2026. So time bound, write it down. Thirdly, join performance testing communities like our Little Side channel test group or our channel LinkedIn page or WhatsApp page, and practice these skills. Learning alone is hard. Find your tribe. There are Slack communities, Discord servers, Reddit communities, or performance testers share knowledge. Join them, ask questions, share what you learn. And then the fourth one, subscribe to Little Sly YouTube channel for ongoing guidance. I regularly post content on exactly these topics: Docker for performance testers, Kubernetes for performance engineers, cloud testing strategies, all designed to help you on your journey. And I'm here to support your learning. And connect with me on LinkedIn for more performance testing insights. I share articles, tips, jobs, market updates, all focused on helping performance testers advance their careers. So don't wait. The complexity we discussed today is real, but so is the opportunity to master it and become indispensable in your organization. So the testers who take action today will be the leaders tomorrow. And thank you for your attention and engagement. Now let's open it up. I want to hear from you. What questions do you have and what specific challenges are you facing? What's holding you back from learning these skills? Let's discuss. This is your time. So please do comment that in the comment section. So until I meet you all in another interesting video, it's bye bye from Mr. Moom and your favorite Little Claw YouTube channel. Take care and bye.